we're going to talk about how do you get from lab to plant. So from lab to plant, one of the last guests here of the program, Hans Kuipers, is here with us. Hans, I will introduce you to our audience. You're program director, energy carriers at ARC CBBC, and you're standing right next to me at your own table here. We're going to talk about how you come from the laboratory to the manufacturing plant. Because, and that's also something we found out earlier on the program, a lot of great research is being done, a lot of connections are made, but all in a very small scale. Yes. And then eventually you have to scale up and scale up and scale up and make an innovation, just the dream we were talking about at the table, make it happen, make it in an end product. Why is that so difficult to begin with?
That's a very good question. And the reason is that we are dealing with a very complex multi-scale problem. Mm-hmm. What does multi-scale mean? Yeah. You have to understand the catalytic transformations at the scale of the active sites, the catalyst particle, and in a reactor you have billions of catalyst particles, and that all together is functioning from, let's say, the small scale to the large scale that will make or break the process. And what is also important, that in the end the process should be economical. So once you have a demonstration that you can do it in our field, that's not sufficient. You also must demonstrate that it's economical, that in the end you can, of course, save the planet, but also earn some money with it. Otherwise a company would go bankrupt.
There has to be a business case.
There has to be a business case, in other words. Yes, indeed, yes. And what we do in the lab is do small-scale experiments, and we do parallel sophisticated multi-scale modeling, meaning we take into account the phenomena at the scale of the catalyst particle, and we connect that to advanced multi-phase computational fluid dynamics models. That's a whole mouthful, but that's basically the type of model you need to predict the large-scale behavior in chemical reactors. And that's a very challenging endeavor. You need, of course, a lot of computational power to do that, but also very good input information from the people from catalysis, the kinetics and how the catalyst works, and that you have to tie together in an overall model which is hopefully predictive. And what we specifically do is validate at small scale, and since these models are built on, let's say, fundamental principles, we also have the confidence that when it is correct at the small scale, you can also predict the large scale behavior.
It sounds real complex.
It is.
And it is. And of course you need computer models. You use computer models to do this.
Yes.
A lot of power these computers of course need. Then about something about the bigger picture, what the flagship small molecule activation does. Because how does this relate from lab to plant? You explained something about the process that you're doing. You collaborate with a lot of partners in here, and well, we heard from BASF and AkzoNobel, two tight competitors, that they say, well, we need some of that collaborations in the beginning.
Yes, well, what we specifically do at this moment is use methane as a feedstock to convert to hydrogen and functional carbon. When you look at the current dominating technologies for hydrogen production, that's SMR, steam methane reforming, and that has a huge CO2 footprint. So what we do with our process, which we are developing, is to have a better, let's say, situation regarding the CO2 footprint. And as a kind of bonus, we also produce functional carbon, which you can use in electronics. That's a lightweight construction materials and so forth. So I think that's really the cutting advantage of this new technology in comparison with the existing technology.
So it's a win-win then,
it's a win-win
situation. So you have a great material you can use. We heard about this in the first part of the program, the first part of this afternoon, and you have less pollution, less emissions. So we're going to talk about methane. You just did, but also the next high-speed lecture is about that topic. Do you have anything to add before we go to the animation? What do you wish for our viewers who are doing that kind of research?
Well, what I hope is that we can really use this as a vehicle to demonstrate that this consortium is successful in attacking such complicated multi-scale problems, which can then serve as an example to attack even more complex ones, meaning CO2 conversion to valuable products. Some people deem that as impossible, but if we can do this as a demonstrator, I think we are in a pole position to do also the more complex cases. And that's what I hope.
I think today I learned nothing is impossible. So thank you very much, Hans Kuipers.
Thank you very much.